I'm sorry.
Not yet.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all right.
that's okay. I'll get it for him.
People know me. I'm a loud mouth.
Okay. Jack, we are live.
Okay. Thanks everyone for joining the second June meeting of 2025. Um, um, Steve, maybe it'd be good if you can join the YouTube so you can hear the audio stream. Maybe that'd be a good alternative there. So this is I think our last meeting of June, officially, right? We have the DOT with us to speak about the 65th Street safety improvement plan. So I guess without further ado, who do I hand over to? Leroy, you go first here.
Yes, Leroy.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing us to be here. I'm Leroy Branch from the Brooklyn Borough Commissioner's Office. We're going to be speaking this evening about a particular safety improvement plan in your district. Any other questions outside of this plan would be directed towards me at the end of this particular presentation. After the presentation, if anybody has any other questions related to anything DOT in CB10, I'll do my best in answering. And if not, I'll get back to you next week. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Robert or Elena, who's doing the presentation. Or you can introduce yourselves and then do the presentation.
Sure. Hi,
Elena?
everybody. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
great. My name is Elena Lanyova. I'm a Deputy Director of School Safety Unit at DOT, and I'm here with Robbie. He's our project manager, and he will be presenting a safety improvement project tonight.
Also have Michael from New York City Transit, just so everybody knows.
Good evening, everyone. This is Dika Michael. I hope you can hear me. I am the Brooklyn South planner from New York City Transit, sitting in on this meeting.
All right. So can you all see the
Yes.
screen that I'm sharing?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So good evening, everyone. My name is Robbie Gomez, and I'm a project manager at School Safety Unit of DOT. Our team is dedicated to making streets safer around schools across the city, mainly through engineering and street design. Before we dive in, I just want to clarify that tonight's presentation is not part of the broader Third Avenue Corridor project, and it's a site-specific safety improvement focused on the area around Third Avenue and 65th Street. This part of the neighborhood sees a lot of foot traffic with several schools and playgrounds nearby. Right now, the conditions just aren't safe enough, especially for people walking, and that's what that's what we want to change. So we'll start with a quick overview of why this location is a priority for us. Then we'll walk through the photos of the current conditions so you can see what we've observed during our site visits. From there, we'll lay out our proposed changes, explaining how each one is designed to address specific safety issues that we've seen. And finally, we'll close with a summary of all the benefits and look ahead at what's next. So there are a few key reasons this location rose to the top of our list. First, it's surrounded by schools. MS 936, PS 503 and 506, PS 971 are all within the short walking distance. This means heavy foot traffic, particularly during arrival and dismissal. Second, both 3rd Avenue and 65th Street are designated truck routes with large vehicles regularly passing through. We've seen repeated conflicts between those vehicles and people walking, often in areas with poor visibility and long crossings. We've also heard consistent concerns from the community during the BQE North and South planning process. There were many local voices pushed for better pedestrian safety and connectivity in this very area. This project builds on that feedback by responding directly to the risks that the community pointed out. And finally, we've observed persistent parking violations near the precinct and the auto businesses on 65th Street, making it even harder for pedestrians to safely navigate the corridor. Between 2019 and 2023, there were 56 reported injuries in the project area, including one pedestrian fatality. Around 20% of those injured were either pedestrians or bicyclists. This data reflects the challenges that we observed firsthand. Long crossings, fast turns, and poor visibility all contributing to unsafe conditions, especially for kids and families walking in this area. So now that we've reviewed the crash data, let's take a closer look at what the street actually looks like today and what specific conditions are contributing to the safety concerns in the area. Starting at the northwest corner of 3rd Avenue and 65th Street, we've observed wide sweeping turns, the kind that encourage drivers to move quickly through the intersection. This creates real risk for people crossing, especially since the crosswalk here is really long. When drivers don't yield properly, pedestrians are left exposed for longer than they should be. This photo really highlights one of the key issues that we've seen in this area. A student is stranded at the narrow median with traffic speeding by both sides. This crossing here is long and angled with no real protection in the middle. Drivers behave like they're still on the highway. And in some way that's understandable. The intersection is right off the Gowanus Expressway, and the design doesn't fully reflect the fact that this is already a residential area. But that's exactly the problem. This is a neighborhood with schools, parks, and people walking every day. The street should function like it, and right now it doesn't. Going at the eastern leg of the intersection, legal parking adds another layer of danger. When cars are parked close to the crosswalk, people walking are forced to step out into traffic just to be seen. Double parking also disrupts how vehicles turn or move through the intersection, making the whole space less predictable for everyone. Moving a bit further on 65th Street, the road becomes wide and unstructured. That leads to drivers weaving around each other, often trying to pass illegally. Double parking is common here too, which pushes traffic into the opposite lane and creates unnecessary risk, especially for people walking nearby. North of that main intersection, we're seeing similar problems along 3rd Avenue heading southbound. Traffic is disorganized. There is no clear lane structure, and wide turn angles make driver behavior harder to predict. Visibility for pedestrians is limited, especially near parked vehicles. And at the intersection of 3rd Avenue and 64th Street, there's a missing pedestrian connection to the Tom Joy soccer field. There's no clear or safe way to cross here, and limited cues for drivers to slow down or yield. This corner doesn't feel complete from a pedestrian's point of view. And this corner by the gas station is one of the most chaotic spots in the entire corridor. We've seen cars parked directly on the sidewalk and others cutting across it at all angles to get to the pumps. For someone walking, especially for children walking on their own, it feels like there's no safe space. A sidewalk becomes a free-for-all, more like a driveway than a place for people. Now that we've seen the challenges on the ground, let's walk through the proposed improvements. The design focuses on 3 main goals: shortening crossing distances, slowing down turns, and restoring visibility at corners. At the same time, we're making sure that the street continues to function for vehicles and curbside needs. And importantly, there's no net loss in parking. Some spots are being shifted to better support visibility and safety, but the total number remains the same. At the main intersection of 3rd Avenue and 65th Street, we're proposing a set of intersection-wide safety upgrades designed to make it safer and more predictable for everyone. We'll be adding painted curb extensions at all 4 corners. These help shorten the distance for pedestrians crossing the street, while also tightening the turns for drivers, which slows down vehicle speeds. We're also removing 1 southbound travel lane between 64th and 65th Street. This section carries relatively low traffic volumes, and our traffic analysis and modeling showed that removing the extra lane will not impact traffic flow, but it will help calm speeds and make the intersection feel more manageable. These types of changes are never made lightly. They're always based on data and engineering review. And on 65th Street between 3rd and 2nd Avenues, we're widening the parking lanes. That gives more breathing room between park and moving vehicles and helps reduce mid-block conflicts. And lastly, we're shifting the bus stop slightly to the north to open up visibility and improve safety at the corner. Altogether, these changes begin to shift the character of the street from something that feels wide, fast, and highway-like to something that fits the neighborhood, calmer, safer, and more welcoming for people walking. North of that main intersection, we're continuing the same approach. A stretch of 3rd Avenue has 2 narrow southbound lanes, but traffic volumes are low. So we're removing one lane to reduce speeding and improve how traffic flows. It helps calm the street without creating backups. We're also adding painted curb extensions at 63rd and 64th Streets to shorten crossings and improve visibility for people walking. And on the northbound side of 3rd Avenue, we are introducing a new stop sign and a marked crosswalk at 64th Street to create a safer connection between the playgrounds. We're also adding painted curb extension to improve visibility at the corners and give people more space and time to cross. And at the southwest corner by the gas station, we're still evaluating options to address ongoing issues with vehicles parking on the sidewalk and cutting across pedestrian space to reach the pumps. So we're looking at adjustments or closure to the curb cuts and possibly some back of sidewalk treatments. As you can see here, this is what we've done recently done for a pilot curb cut project in Coney Island Avenue. The BP gas station, we've closed a curb cut and added a back of sidewalk treatment just to reinforce that closure. And yeah, this corner sees heavy foot traffic, so especially for students and families, we want to restore like a safe and predictable sidewalk experience. So together, these improvements aim to make the corridor around the 3rd Avenue and 65th Street safer, more predictable, and better suited to the people who use it every day. At key intersections like 65th Street, 64th, and 63rd, we're shortening crossing distances and clearing up sightlines at corners, giving pedestrians, especially students and families, more time and space to cross safely. We're also calming vehicle movements by removing excess travel lanes and tightening turns, changes that reduce speeding and make drivers more attentive as they move through the neighborhood. Across the corridor, we're reorganizing the street to create more consistent space for parking, travel, and curbside activity. That means less double parking, less weaving, and more orderly experience overall. And to be clear, there's no net loss in parking. We're shifting curb space to work better, not reducing it. All of this helps with the street function the way it should, a residential corridor and not an extension of the expressway. So now we're gathering feedback from the community, and your input is a key part of this process. What we've shared tonight reflects what we've seen and heard so far, but we want to make sure that it also reflects your lived experience. If all goes as planned, we're aiming to install these improvements within this year. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the committee will have questions and comments here. Maybe it might be helpful to just go through each of those one by one, like with this zoomed in one. Maybe we're starting with the 65th Street one at 3rd Avenue, the first one that you showed, and we just walk through each of those. I'm sure there'll be like more specific comments on
Sure.
each of them. I had a question on this one specifically, which is on the curb extension, especially on the lower right-hand side. Why not extend the curb painting across the entire stripe lane? Like why end about halfway there?
Here.
Yeah.
So yeah, because it's by a driveway, we needed to maintain like a few feet from the curb extension. And Alina, do you want to add more to the?
Sure. So the side on Third Avenue, we cannot mark it with paint because this is where the elevated structure starts, and
We lost Elena.
Oh,
We lost her, yeah.
yeah, I think yeah. So let me just.
the temp
Oh,
paint that we use just doesn't. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you repeat your statement?
Okay, so sorry about that. So yes, over here, so over there where Robbie was showing with cursor, we are not able to mark the 10 pin that we're using because it is an elevated bridge structure. It's not asphalt, it's concrete, and this 10 pin simply does not stick. And we're not able to maintain it. So this is why we're only using the regular thermal markings here. And on the other side, we have considered increasing the space. We do not have a maintenance partner here, and we will be adding granite blocks to hardening the location. But the bigger it is, the easier it will be for vehicles to illegally park within it. So we thought this is just something that will be more manageable.
I guess, will you guys be putting planters within the painted
We need
curbside as well?
We need to have a community partner to install planters. We currently do not have one. If community board has any suggestions, we are happy to reach out to a community organization. We can without the community partner, we can only do granite blocks, and we are planning to add them to all the corners.
Okay, we could certainly reach out to some local groups and the towers and see if we can help there.
Yeah,
Okay, I see.
planters would be great. Yeah,
Yeah.
we are happy to coordinate.
Okay, so any questions from the committee? I see Celia has your hand up on this one. Feel free to ask about anything else, but I figured it'd be good to just walk through more closely.
Yeah, I guess I misunderstood a little bit. On the corners that are the four corners, they're gonna have granite blocks keeping cars out of them. Is that what's happening there?
Yes, that is right.
Okay. Okay, good. Because I was concerned that you were just painting those or putting up the those plastic bollards, but it'll be those will all be hardened.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Steve, you're muted.
Yes. I'm just as interested as to how long this entire process would take on all four corners to get it back to normal.
Sorry, what do you mean get it back to normal?
Normal.
Well, where the construction and the painting and the entire thing would be done, are we talking like 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months? I'm just trying to understand.
I would say approximately a couple of months will be the longest case scenario, the worst case scenario. The construction itself is very quick. We are only doing paint markings, but because we need to schedule work between different crews and the crews typically jump between different projects in construction, it might be some waiting and some dwell time in between. But the installation itself is very fast.
But when you're saying dwell time, you're saying, for example, they'll put in one phase and then they have another phase. Is there any way that you can speed that up?
We usually will do our best.
Okay,
I guess
so
the more direct question is how long do you expect there to not be traffic through flow in this intersection?
Oh no, there will be there will be no traffic closures. The traffic will be will be flowing as it always does. We will just have a lot of big orange construction bollards that will delineate the future spaces, and that is it. You There will be no inconvenience in terms of traffic flow to the neighborhood.
Does that answer your question, Steve?
Somewhat, okay.
Feel free to
I'm
add on
I'm
to
just
that.
trying to understand, I'm just trying to understand, like, you know, I'm thinking if there's any kind of delays or anything of that nature that can happen. And I hear you saying that there might be short times between different phases, all right? But I mean, during those short times, is there going to be any kind of traffic safety people at the intersection?
No, there won't be any traffic safety people at the intersections because we are not anticipating any changes to the traffic flow.
Okay.
As you probably see often DOT doing or contractors doing work at corners. That means that the corner will be blocked off with the construction barrels. And
Yeah.
that's with providing walkways, but that's about it. This is a
Essentially,
pretty
yeah.
light touch project.
No
Okay,
road
good.
closures.
Dino?
Yeah, so I saw you guys are doing some daylighting on the 4th Avenue side of 65th Street. As a cyclist who passes through there every single day, the bike lane just kind of like dumps you off at 65th Street and there's no infrastructure from that point on. And I was wondering if you guys are gonna do anything like a delayed green to at least give cyclists and pedestrians a head start when crossing 65th Street. And then on the I guess that's 65th Street or 65th Place or whatever, where it's the one-way street that goes towards 3rd Avenue. Very often there's conflicts between cyclists and pedestrians and vehicles that are trying to turn onto that street. So I don't know if you guys are planning on putting some kind of signal there for pedestrians to cross, or I don't know what could be done exactly.
So we could take a look at an LPI at the intersection. If that's possible, we can definitely take a look at that. And you know what an LPI is, right? It lets the pedestrians walk before the cars get to actually make the turn.
Okay, like a delayed green type of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We call it an LPI.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay. I think I saw Larry's hand raised earlier.
Larry?
Yeah, it's a technical issue. How long does it take for the paint to dry on those curb extensions and the crosswalks? You have a spec on that? How long does it take? I mean, you do this overnight or are you gonna do this during the daytime?
Most like I am not sure which crews will be scheduled for this work. Most likely these will be daytime crews. They typically start work pretty early in the morning. Paint dries very quickly. The double white paint that is at the that outlines the border of the curb extension is 2 minutes, and temp paint, I think, and temp paint, I think, takes a few hours at the most.
That the curb extensions or the paint? The crosswalk paint is, you said, 2 minutes?
Yes, very fast.
Yeah.
And the other, the painted curb extensions.
The temp paint takes longer, but it's maximum few hours, I think.
Yeah, I'm curious, Josephine, that in this presentation we saw like examples of double parking and parking in the painted existing painted areas, and the fact that like this is near like NYPD offices there, right? Like how often are those cars that are double parking, being ticketed for I guess potentially pushing cars into the opposite lane? I'm curious if we have any information there.
Right.
No, we don't. That's strictly an NYPD enforcement issue. I mean, we can ask, but you probably get a better answer than we would.
Right.
Well, I would expect enforcement to be pretty high because it's close to where a lot of
Yeah.
places, start.
So what I'm gonna say is we could certainly also do that, Jack. And we have very recently, the towers, both their parking lots currently have vacate orders on them. So there's been an increase in summonses in the last, I would say definitely the last week, but I don't know how it compares. We're still getting complaints and brought to our attention that there's a lot more double parking. We actually had some complaints from Towers people about too much summonsing because there's been so many complaints in the last few days. So that's something that, because 500 cars were displaced, so there's a short-term issue right now, and then there's a longer-term issue. And it's something, we have a new commanding officer I could certainly bring to him again.
You know how long that short-term issue is expected to last, the closure of the parking?
That's a
spots?
great question. That's a great question. We did invite someone from the towers to be here. It did take some time, a few months, for them to even get to this point. Construction is ongoing, and I think it should be a few more weeks.
So it
But
really wouldn't impact this because this would be second half of the year.
yeah, this should be done.
The projected,
Just I think I was in my network station.
Projected start?
They may have given them a date.
No, they don't have a date.
I
I'm not,
Yeah.
there was a projected start date for this?
He said later in the fall, right? The projected start date for this project is the fall? Is that correct?
We do not have a specific date yet,
Okay.
but before the end of the construction season this year.
Okay, so that's before November usually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you
Thank
go
you.
to the
Good
next
afternoon.
slide, Robbie?
Oh.
Oh, sorry,
sure.
who was that?
This is Dika Michael from New York City Transit. While we're on the subject of the parking situation, it's been brought to our attention that on the east curb of Third Avenue, our buses are unable to safely board and alight passengers because there are cars constantly blocking our bus stop, which is a concern for us. I don't know who the appropriate person is to speak to about that, but it becomes a safety issue when we can't pull the buses can't pull to the curb, especially when we're trying to service customers who have mobility challenges or caregivers with strollers. It does become an issue. So is there something that you guys can look into and possibly address? At least give us
Yeah.
some space
Yeah,
for the buses to
absolutely.
serve?
Absolutely. Well, right after this call, I will reach out to the commanding officer to that specifically as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you go to the next slide, Robbie? All right, Stanley, you have your hand up again.
Muted, Stanley.
I think.
Stanley speaking?
Sorry, it's for another slide. Sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
So I had a question. So in terms of removing one of the southbound lanes here and increasing the parking space available in terms of like the width of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have an issue in our community generally of like truck parking, taking out spots there. Like would that kind of extra wide parking lanes I kind of encourage that kind of behavior historically, or like because that's a major issue, not necessarily in this area, but in like other areas of Bay Ridge at least.
In terms of what? What do you mean, Jack? You mean will trucks now park there? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I don't think taking out the lane is going to deter them or invite them to park. They're going to park there irregardless. I'm not sure, and I'm sure Josephine would know it better than I would. Do trucks park there now?
There were some issues about illegal parking very recently. I think it's lessened a bit there now. But there are different periods of time. There's been some aggressive tow operations as a result of the parking lot issue. So it does happen there from time to time. Yes.
But I don't think the wider parking lane is going to, like I said, deter or invite. I think they're going to keep doing what they're doing. And hopefully with the enforcement that's been happening, you won't see that as much.
All right. Well, it is on a park a trucking route, right? And it's right off the highway, right? So I would expect that. I mean, ideally, we would have some kind of changes here to help account for that as well, right? In addition, because that would be that itself is also somewhat of a safety thing. Reduces visibility in a residential neighborhood. So
Other than just taking the parking away altogether, which I don't think anybody wants, there's really not too much we can do in terms of illegal parking.
Chris, I see your hand raised here.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to ask, what was the issue with the parking across the street from the parking lot across the street from, is there construction going on in it? The one across the street?
Yes, so the BQE drainage was leaking into the parking lots of the Bay Ridge Towers, causing the structure to be undermined.
I got you.
So both parking lots were issued vacate orders from the Department of Buildings until such time that those repairs can be made. And right now they're ongoing. It was a little complex getting to
Yep.
where we are now, so.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that everything looks really great because I know that on either side of the sports field and alongside of that park, that the traffic, yeah, it needs to be slowed down for sure. And widening out those, bringing out those the curb, extending them like that. You have little kids crossing the street and the cars can't see them and they whip around. It's all good. But yeah, no, thank you for that, Josephina. It wasn't necessarily following the other piece with the parking lot.
Okay. Would you mind going to the next slide, Robbie?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, here's the connection to the Tom Joy soccer field. So we're adding a stop sign plus curb extension with a
And a
marked
crosswalk.
crosswalk.
Any reason why there wouldn't be a crosswalk on the south side of the left intersection? Yeah, right about there. Next to the playground.
So it's because this is a one-way eastbound. So we think that it would be safer to have the crosswalk on the north leg instead of the south leg, just for visibility too.
There will be no turning conflict there.
Yeah. So essentially, cars will be turning from here. So if they cross from this side, they wouldn't have that turning conflict.
Are
And
you
that
removing the
crosswalk
stop
is-
sign there?
No, the stop sign would stay.
Yeah, it's already
Both of
there.
them?
Mm-hmm.
The other one
Both
looks
of them,
like it's
yeah.
removed. Okay.
Oh no, the stop should be there.
The stop sign to the curb.
The crosswalk is the closest to that pedestrian desire line to cross between two sides of Third Ave.
Put the sign in the curb extension, or is it gonna be on the sidewalk? And
The stop
We
sign?
typically,
put the sign-
yeah, we
put the
Yeah, we
stop sign
typically, we try not to install the signs in the painted space in the roadway. So
not even the curb extension?
we try not to unless we absolutely
Really
have
have.
to.
Mhm.
I would say 99% of the time, the signs typically go into the sidewalk,
You don't
just
think
for
that
better
another
protection and
sign-
longevity.
Put stop signs on both sides?
Yeah,
Yes.
Put a stop sign there where you have your red pointer and then.
Yeah,
have
I
another
believe
one.
there's already an existing stop
Mhm.
sign, stop signs
Right.
here.
Yes. Definitely.
Any other
Recently
questions?
installed.
I don't see any hands right. All right, Robbie, can you go to the next slide, please? This is on the application. So other than this kind of curb cut, like what other improvement possibilities would you have here?
So this is a very challenging issue for us to fix. And we're still looking at possibilities. Basically, we need to very carefully analyze possible gas station movements to understand their operational needs. We need to talk to the gas station owners We need to basically, ideally, we provide just enough space for the vehicles to be able to get in and out, and narrow the curb cuts that are close the curb cuts that are not necessary, and narrow the ones that are extra wide, just to control the vehicle movements in and out more, and to prevent illegal sidewalk driving and parking to the maximum extent we can. So we are now testing these back of sidewalk treatments that you have on the photographs. We also have limited number of crash tested bollards. If these prove to be suitable here, we will proceed with the installation, but we're too early in the process. So these are just potential options that we have. This is a relatively new pilot program at DOT, and we are very happy to be leading it. Essentially, we try to limit and redesign dangerous curb cuts next to schools or at locations where a lot of students are walking.
But whether depending on what you guys decide to do in this area, it will still be implemented in the same time frame, right? It wouldn't be like a separate project.
No. It will be on a completely different timeline, because this requires a lot of analysis. This requires communication with Department of Buildings. This requires communication with the owner. And it requires using materials that we typically don't have as a part of our standard toolbox. So we just wanted to tell you that we are looking into this, and we think that this is a problem, and we would like to use design treatments to at least address it in some fashion. But we currently cannot commit to a specific timeline here.
Okay, I think that was Joe. But Joe, if you want to speak, feel free to raise your hand here as well. Staley, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Go ahead, Joe. Yeah, we can hear you now.
I just want to ask a simple question, and I probably know the answer to this, but they're just telling us what they're doing, right? They're not asking for our feedback to make any changes or anything like that. Is that how this goes?
No, if you have some suggestions, please make them.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you guys did a study of how busy 65th Street is with cars and trucks. It's a heavy business area with, especially with the Gowanus. And, that curb coming out that far, I think maybe more of a problem, more of a problem than helping. Again, that's just my opinion. I really don't know, but that's what I was thinking.
When you say it's a problem, what do you mean by that, Joseph?
Well, it looks like in the diagram that when that sidewalk comes out from the corner, it's coming into that intersection, correct? It's coming into that lane, it looks like. Or did I not see that correctly?
Robbie, can you switch
back,
to?
Yeah, I was gonna say go back.
So
Which
So you see that brown area going
yes.
into the, oh, you can't hear me now. Wait.
I can hear you.
I can hear
We
you.
can hear you. Are you still there, Joe? You're muted yourself now.
Where the corner is, is that going into that lane?
No, that's the parking lane.
Oh, that's a parking lane.
That's the parking lane, yes.
Okay.
It's not the lane of traffic.
Okay. And what was the reason for widening the parking lane?
It's to give structure to the roadway and narrow the travel lane itself.
Basically, right now, there are no marked
Markings,
parking lanes there. So we're just adding markings to designate where people can park and where vehicles can move.
Okay.
Right now, there is just double yellow.
And are you also putting in like a bike lane there or no bike lane?
No, this is specifically pedestrian safety improvement project. There are no bike lanes proposed here.
Okay. All right. Thank you for clearing that up for me. Thank you.
Staley?
So just a couple of thoughts on this same. You can go ahead and say on this slide. First of all, when we're talking about that 7-Eleven and gas station, I mean, personally, I'm very familiar with that corner. I don't think they need entrances on both Third Avenue and 65th Street for what it's worth. I think that actually causes a lot of problems because it encourages drivers to cut through that parking lot to get around the traffic light. So, I mean, I don't know which one's more important to the owners, but I certainly don't think they need both sides of that open. The other bigger concern I have about this intersection is that you have a huge problem with vehicles parking on the sidewalk on both the north and south side of 65th Street. Those vehicles, I mean, let's face it, are pretty much exclusively either NYPD vehicles or vehicles that belong to police officers that work at the 68 precinct. They're personal vehicles. So there's no enforcement of that, of nobody's getting ticketed there. And I think that one thing DOT could do to help mitigate that a little bit is maybe to consider putting in some street furniture, benches, things like that make it physically impossible to park on those sidewalks. Along those same lines, I'm concerned at 65th and 3rd with the curb extension that you put in. I'm glad that you said that you are putting some hardening in there. But again, I'm concerned that unless that hardening is pretty tight, right, that those police cars are just going to drive around those granite blocks, much like they do now. That corner is already marked no parking, right, for daylight, for safety reasons, because it's hard to see around that corner. Yet it's completely full of police cars and police officers' personal vehicles at all times. So, I'm not sure exactly what the solution is on that corner, but again, I think it's some sort of like physical impediment to parking vehicles there. I think is the only thing that's going to solve the problem at this intersection.
Thank you for that, Stanley. We do our best in terms of trying to put granite blocks to harden it. Unfortunately, what happens is we can't make it too tight because sanitation still needs to get in and clean it. So if we make it too tight where nothing can get in, then it will not get cleaned and we have a whole nother issue that we have to deal with. So unfortunately, it's the same anywhere there's a precinct. It's the same anywhere a police car can go or their personal vehicles. The best we can do is try to work with Josephine and imploring the precinct not to park in it. But that's the best we can do because the people who enforce it are the ones who are parking in it. So that's the best we can do is work with Josephine and trying to convince the precinct not to have their cars park in it. But unfortunately, the best we can do is add some granite blocks and hope they don't do it.
And just to add to this, if this is where potential community partner would be particularly helpful. If we had a community partner, we could double the number of granite blocks, we could add planters, and we could fully harden and protect these spaces from illegally parked vehicles.
I think the 68 precinct could be that community partner that can help out here. They're
that's not going to happen, Jack. That's not going to happen,
can,
Jack. I'm not
can always
even
ask.
going to let you finish your statement because that won't happen.
Okay. All right.
They'll be a good community partner. They will park their cars in there.
All right, Chris.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, and I think we all have experience in that area, but I don't know anyone that uses that gas station to cut across from one side to the other because I find that oftentimes you have to circle the block to enter the gas station to come in to fill up. I don't know if closing an entrance would be a good idea as much as maybe working with the gas station to perhaps have them, clearly mark or suggest the entrance and the exit as an idea because, typically you're either coming up 65th Street or going up Third Avenue and you can, you go down that street and you enter on the side and you go on a lane and then you exit on the police precinct side. It's obviously people use that station because it's right near the expressway. So I just wanted to throw that out there because it's never been the issue to me where I've seen people. I know what you're talking about. I've experienced gas stations where people think of it as a way to get around a stoplight, but I've never experienced that gas station like that. It's the lanes for people filling up. It's always full. So I just wanted to kind of offer that as a suggestion.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's gonna be, oh, I'm sorry, get it, Elena.
Yes, thank you, Larry. So uh, we are not saying that specifically we're going to close an entrance. We're just saying that these are the treatments that might be helpful, and we need to do a lot of work on our end and talking to the gas station and 7-Eleven to understand their needs and what we can do. Closing curb cuts, narrowing curb cuts, installing back of sidewalk treatments, these are just set of options that we have, and we are not sure which ones will be suitable here. And we are also learning a lot as we go, because we've only done a couple of treatments like this in the city so far, and we're collecting a lot of data to test the effectiveness of this work.
Absolutely, and it's a fantastic presentation. I really appreciate it.
And you
Thank
guys
you.
are welcome
so
to come back when you guys have a further, study on that specific corner as well. Dino, you have your hand raised, and anyone in the room, feel free to raise your hand as well, and I can try to see. But go ahead, Dino.
Yeah, so this intersection is actually the one I was assigned for the pedestrian safety study that we're doing. It was chaos, to say the least. I mean, even if you just look at the street view on Google Maps right now, like on that corner of 3rd Avenue and 65th, the sidewalks are just blocked. There was a lot of near misses with pedestrians and cars, especially the curb cut on 3rd Avenue, the one that Staley was talking about potentially closing. I even saw vehicles coming off of 3rd Avenue heading south, doing a U-turn and pulling into the gas station from there. Yeah, I even saw police cars doing that. So, and there's like pedestrians trying to walk, trying to cross. There was no delayed green either, the LPI that I just learned about. Yeah, so all these things would be helpful. I think you definitely have to harden all of these because of its proximity to the precinct, it's just going to be abused if it's not hardened. And just keep visibility in mind in terms of like pedestrians, because these cars are, zooming by fast, and I think a lot of them they just have like that mentality that they're still on the highway, so they're not really taking pedestrians into consideration. And also, the bike lane ends on 3rd Avenue right there. So a lot of cyclists are just kind of like dumped into this whole mess. So that should also just be taken into consideration. Yeah.
Thank you, Dina.
Jack, wait,
Carmen?
Carmen, yeah.
Just a quick thing about the gas station. When I travel up to Vermont a lot, my friends own a gas station in addition to other businesses in one complex. And I think about how massive their gas station is. And when they were having it built, it was recommended that they have two, and like an entrance and an exit, because when they're filling the pumps, that kind of takes up a lot of space. And that gas station, I sometimes wonder, like, it's to me, it's so small. And they have vehicles coming in for gas, but they also have vehicles coming in that may have a flat tire or other issues. You don't want somebody blocking the entrance going in, when you need both to go in and out. But the only thing I'm going to say is, when you do go there, make sure you're talking to the owner and not somebody who works there, because the owner is the one that is going to be responsible for the cost of having to make changes or anything. So, because sometimes with these meetings, it happened not too long ago, they were talking to the workers rather than the owner of a company, and that became a big issue. So just make sure you have the people who own the gas station, not just the workers there.
We definitely do talk to the owners. I was actually a part of the one on Coney Island Avenue, and we actually called BP, the main office, and spoke to them directly. It has to be a collaboration between City DOT, the gas station owners, Department of Buildings. So it's a collaboration, and it's going to take some time to get done. So it's not something that happens overnight.
Thank you. Thank you both. First, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, no, I have a question too. I mean, I think another interesting thing was brought up. I mean, if a bike lane ends on 65th Street, well, the first question is, why isn't it diverted in a pathway that is, not towards this very busy intersection? And my second question is, is that the reason why the bike lane ends at 65th Street? Because it would make sense to me, for safety reasons, because obviously this intersection is very specifically focused on vehicle traffic. So, I mean, I'm just as concerned for everyone's safety in the matter, but I want to know if that's a part of the thought process with DOT, and if there is no safe or proper access for bike traffic, wherever that lane ends, can it be accommodated so that it's directed into a more safe, area for them for two-way traffic? That's all. Thanks.
Good question.
I would say, Josephine, if that's something that the board would like us to take a look at, just send me an email and we could take a look at that from that perspective. This particular team and this project really would not address that at all at this point. But if it's something that you are strong about, Chris, have Josephine send me an email and we'll take a look at it.
I would absolutely note it because I think it's all about safety. And, like I said, Leroy, I appreciate you being here and everything and all the work you do. I don't know how the planning goes about in this way. And I would not like to think that, anything is left unchecked or intentionally done. And I don't make that assumption at all, but I definitely
So-
value learning from you. Yes.
So,
Oh, for sure.
let me just add, that
Yeah.
we are, DOT is currently planning the Leif Erikson Greenway connection to the Second Ave bike connection
lane.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Is
that
that
is
the
viewed as
redirection?
a long-term
Yeah.
safe redirection away from the intersection altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Because we believe that, that would be the safer route
Too much
for
work. Yeah.
bikes to go through.
Is there a plan for the greenway that you're talking about? Like, have you guys presented back to us about that greenway? Question for you, Leroy.
We know that,
Yeah, we actually saw a presentation on that from Parks.
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
that project is in progress. We are
Mhm.
not the team that is leading the project, so I don't want to provide you with like my personal assumptions on how quickly this will go in. But yeah, we know that the project is in the works.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, discussion points?
Leroy, thank you for a presentation where you're not taking any parking away. Bravo.
Oh, you got to give that to the
Bravo.
school safety team there.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are doing it.
I was walking here kind of dreading what I was going to hear. But good job. Yeah.
Yes. But listen, anytime we could make a particular location safer than it was without taking parking is a win for everybody.
Do
So
that again.
kudos to the safety team there for being able to do this safety project without taking parking away, but just making it safe for all users, not just some, but all users. That's the most important thing.
Okay. When should we expect to hear back about the finalized plans and the finalized timelines?
Well, I would say if you guys have any suggestions, again, send it to the community board and Josephine will definitely get it to me. I will get it to the team and then they would tweak as they see in terms of your suggestions. If it's possible, they will tweak it a little bit. And then I'll let you guys know what the final determination would be.
Okay, and Leroy, but the gas station study, that's ongoing, right? So
That's
that,
ongoing,
ongoing.
and listen, Josephine, I will keep you in the loop on that one.
okay,
That's definitely ongoing. It's not something that's going to happen in the next 3 months. So we definitely will keep you in the loop as we move forward with that. It took us some time to do the one on Coney Island Avenue. It was years. So
It was at least 3 or 4 years for Coney Island
yes,
and
for
Caton.
Coney Island, yes. So but we've learned from that. Hopefully this one won't take that long, but definitely we will keep you in the loop.
all right,
So
thank
I
you.
guess really the two suggestions that we've had during this call, and we can send it to you guys as well, is about the hardened sections and any of the painted ones, LPI. And of course, it's good that there's no parking that's being reduced, and the actual painted lanes are not into the travel lanes, which I guess we confirmed earlier today. But those two suggestions, I think
And
are
also-
main ones.
And also, I mean, if you and also some kind of street furniture on the sidewalks, like benches or
yes.
something to make it difficult to park on the sidewalks themselves would be wonderful.
Again,
so-
if we can get a partner,
Mhm.
that would help immensely, and we can harden it with furniture and planters and different things of that nature, so they won't be able to park in there. Because remember, I said before, the reason why we can't do as close as you would like us to do is because sanitation would have to clean it. But if you had a partner, the partner would be cleaning it, so then we can
okay.
harden it to the point where no one can get in there.
So the partner also maintains that space. is what you're
Yes,
saying.
yes,
Ah,
and the
okay.
planters and anything we put in there.
Yeah, it's hard.
Is there a
It's
bid?
just- it's just a-
A bid in
No.
the area? No?
No.
not
Hmm.
there.
They tried at one point, but it was not successful, unfortunately. But I will reach out to the towers management people, and I'll take a look at our community list nearby to see if there's interest.
Air rights are the same. with
The air rights is the same as the towers. Okay.
I just wanted to flag in terms of the street furniture request on the sidewalks next to the police precinct. I know that we receive a lot of requests for street furniture, and the street furniture planning team typically prioritizes placing street furniture where there is demand, where seniors would need space to rest, where there is an entrance to a school or a playground. With precinct, I suspect there won't be as much demand, so we can forward them this request. I do not know that they will consider this as a priority location, because basically they're not using street furniture simply to block parking, but street furniture needs to be also used by people.
We'll get some
I'm sorry,
suggestion for
to-
street
yeah,
furniture.
to
It's
ask
on
another
both
question
sides
along
of the
these
street.
lines, but who typically makes the request for like street furniture or bike parking, or is it the property that's
No.
like adjacent to the sidewalk?
No,
how's that
anyone,
work?
people.
anyone
Mhm.
can make a request for street furniture anywhere in the city of New York.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
you can just go on our website and make the request. Not to say the request is going to happen, but you can make a request for a particular street furniture.
So also worth asking the residents of the towers there if they would like additional street furniture, because I see none in the Google Maps especially on the south side of 65th.
Right. But again, as Elena was saying, we would put street furnitures where it would be utilized. That not only that point. Let me make this last point. A lot of times we put up benches, and then 6 months later they're telling us to take them out because of people who sleep on them, bring garbage, hang out, make noise, and then they're saying they don't want it anymore. So we have to take that in consideration as well.
Okay. Any other
I
comments,
have a
questions?
question, but it's more for Josephine. At this precinct, is it just this precinct, or do they have a other division of the police department there also?
They have ESU there as well.
Yes,
Yes.
so that might be why. I don't know.
Mhm.
I think disrupting their parking, I think that might be an issue.
We'll speak to them.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Motion to adjourn. I have a motion to adjourn myself.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
so much,
there-
everyone.
Can I
Thank you.
just-
Thank you.
Before
Have a
we
good night.
adjourn, I want to have something on new business.
Oh,
that I'll
okay.
bring up.
Okay.
Sandy's here. He has something quick he wants to bring up.
Nothing to do with this project.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Take care, Elena. Thanks,
night.
Robin.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care.
Bye.
I wanted the
Vika, I
Traffic
think
and
she left.
Transportation Committee to find out what the process would be in getting a stop sign on all four corners.
Of where?
There's an intersection on 77th Street and 10th Avenue. And because I live around there, I see multiple accidents, and it's a bad corner. I don't know if the study that's been done on intersections looked at that corner, but especially during the morning hours and the afternoon hours where the school is open, there are many accidents there. So I'd like to. school,
Um, schools on 75th Street and Fort Avenue Parkway.
McKinley.
McKinley's by there,
McKinley, okay.
but there are
Okay.
there are numerous accidents there. People
We could look. We could
people
definitely
are
look.
always in a rush. I know there was a four-way stop sign put on 78th Street, 10th
Mhm.
Avenue, but 77 is equally is bad.
Okay, I know a lot of 10th Avenue locations have had requests, not all of them have, but we'll definitely look.
Okay.
And I'm sure Leroy could, I'll email you tomorrow on that. We could see what the latest is.
Okay.
All right, now Jack's motion
Jack, you have a motion?
Motion to adjourn?